Hey, what's good, everybody? Back again, doing our New Year's video today. Today is called video Freedom and Responsibility. And those two are exactly the same. That's something a lot of people don't realize. But let's talk big picture here, okay? I don't know how many of my people watching this watched my great conjunction video a little over 1 year ago when we had the big Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. And so really the theme of all last year and most of this year is going to be related to that conjunction, in particular into these planetary energies and these dynamics. And so that Jupiter-Saturn conjunction was a massive deal that hardly ever happens. It's been hundreds of years since that happened the way it did. And so, and especially since it was on the solstice, which is one of the most powerful points of the year. So, I really believe in this stuff. And to me, it's a science. Like, it's not woo-woo, new age bullshit. It's actually math and science. It's the most scientific, it's the oldest science on the planet that we have evidence of going back over 5,000 years, Herbal medicine probably would be number 2. And hilariously, these are the two of the most disregarded things that we have now. And so, there's a very cliche repeated statement that says knowledge is power, and that's the real truth. So, but what we live in now, we're in this weird inversion period of history where it's called what I call the crapocracy, where all the worst people rise to the top. And through the use of these secret society networks and hierarchy systems, they exclude everyone if you don't adhere to their, sadomasochistic BDSM like philosophy of the Masonry and the, Knights Templar and the Roman Catholic Church and everything like that. It's all a big BDSM cult of dominance and submission. And so if you become this tranny cuck lord, if you become a robot and transsexual and you get into all these weird BDSM perversion trips, they give you rewards, they give you money, they give you all kinds of money and fame. They put you on every TV show. I mean, look at Anderson Cooper, all these super famous people, and really all the people that are getting busted right now, all these CNN pedo producers, I'm sure Anderson Cooper is going to be up on the list, but he's super, super rich. So he gets, he's hard to take down. But he's, trained by the CIA. And of course, CIA was created by the Jesuits, and it's all in this BDSM cult, right? So this gets us to our issue. So dominance and submission, right? This gets back to our main topic of freedom and responsibility, right? So the thing about these cult leaders and everybody that's running shit by control of the media, right? They control the education and media, so they control these hierarchies, so they dominate the message. And they normalize all kinds of perversion, and they normalize crappiness. They make people think that's normal, like Kanye West and Billie Eilish and all these fucking Lady Gaga and all these fucking I'm sad for them. I truly am. I sympathize with them because they're abuse victims, right? But the problem is they're willfully propagating their abuse model of drug abuse and sexual perversion and basically slavery. They flip everything. So they flip it and they tell you, slavery is freedom. That's what they tell you. If you're a slave to your drug addictions and your sex addictions and just being really, really stupid, it's a form of slavery because you don't truly have freedom, right? Because the key to freedom is choice. Not only choice, but, options. A truly free person has an option to do whatever they want. And what that means is they have skill, they have talent, they have ability, they have intelligence to truly perceive options and not be fooled by false dichotomies and false choices that they're given, right? And they're capable, right? They have the capability to do a wide range of activities. They're not these incompetent cucklords, just submitting to everything and have no physical strength and have no intellect and have no strategic mind and have nothing that would actually open a variety of options to them, right? So the crapocracy is where, you put some low-grade mental retard like Kanye West up and give him big gold chains and fancy clothes, or any of these celebrities. They're all the most terrible, untalented, really incredibly stupid abuse victims, right? They get put up on stage, and people are so materialistic. They're cultured into materialism. So whoever you give all these fancy cars and fancy clothes and, fashion and shine them on all these bright lights, dummies and materialists like think, oh, that's how I want to be. I want to be the center of attention. I want to be an egotistic narcissist. I want to imitate all these people because look how much attention they're getting, and look all their possessions, and look at all their fancy clothes. Like, it's so superficial, it's so surfacey and shallow, and that's what we're all taught because that's a slavery system, right? So it's like pellets. It's like rats in a maze with the pellets, right? The rats get conditioned into accepting the food pellets, right? So they push the lever, they get the pellets, or they run through the maze and they find the stinky cheese. Like they find, so they're rewarded for certain types of behavior. And so while foregoing their own innate abilities, right? It's kind of like a house cat, right? Like some cats are super badass and they have not lost their hunting abilities, and they can hunt at night, and they're super, super fucking stealthy, and they have all their innate skills, and they're self-sufficient, right? That's the difference between cats and dogs in a lot of ways. Like dogs are just submissive, and they always need approval, and they always need to be part of the pack, right? They're not like wolves, right? Wolves can be solo hunters, and they can, leave behind whatever they don't enjoy. Like they could just leave it. They have that freedom. They have the power and the freedom that comes from independence and true freedom of choice, right? So, rather than being conditioned into this slave mentality rat race and just looking for pellets and handouts and universal basic income and welfare checks and stimulants checks and everything like that, that's the lazy mode. That's what makes you weak. That's what makes you stupid and weak. And consumerism makes you stupid and weak because you think you can just go swipe your debit card or your EBT card or whatever it is and just get trinkets and pellets and toys and distractions, and versus having actual skill to being able to grow your own food or to hunt for your own food if that's your thing, to go out and use your physical ability and your mind and strategy and tactics to go obtain whatever gives you the best strength and health and mental agility and so on, to go obtain it by your own power, by your own force, right? So that is what breeds strength and excellence and individualism and self-sufficiency, right? Whereas, if you become a BDSM Masonic cuck lord or one of these military people and you follow the submission, commands, then they give you certain type of pellets, and it's real easy, and you can become lazy, and you just do what you're told, and then you get some pellets, But that doesn't breed strength, right? Adversity breeds strength, and plenty breeds monsters, like Victor Hugo famously said. So if you have a life of ease and comfort, you tend to wither. Your strength goes away. You don't have to face any resistance and build up strength and agility and intelligence and develop efficiency, right? Adversity breeds efficiency. You use resources wisely. You don't squander resources. And most importantly, you don't squander time. Time is the most valuable of all resources. So you don't want to squander it and waste it on something that isn't going to make you stronger, smarter, happier, more fulfilled, more, and growth. You don't spend it in something that isn't going to produce growth and improvement, right? That's how you squander time. So true freedom comes from taking personal responsibility and health sovereignty. Okay, so that's kind of the dynamic. So in terms of those astrological things that I was talking about, right, the dynamic was between Jupiter and Saturn. So Jupiter is the god of expansiveness, right, going beyond the boundaries, exploring, going into the unknown, seeking knowledge, seeking wisdom, seeking a higher level vista and a broader perspective, not being provincial, not being closed-minded, not being narrow-minded, not, living in some high-rise stack and pack with your gaming console, living in a fake reality. You're going out to explore and being you're testing the reality, being is this reality really real? How high res is it? How far can I zoom into this reality? How far can I zoom out like Google Earth and still see the contours of the continents? What's the boundaries and what's the limitations of whatever simulation you're existing in, right? Never taking it for granted, never taking your assumptions for granted. That's the Jupiter mindset, right? Jupiter is the god of the expansive sky and the heights and the peaks of Mount Olympus, right? He can see the whole human habitation zone, like he can see the whole thing from up there. And he can traverse all the distances with his lightning bolts, with rapid speed, right? Whereas Saturn tends to be all the opposites of that, right? Constraint, rules and regulations, boundaries, limitations, fortifications, like this protective barrier, this city wall that like holds you in and protects you from anything that would actually test your strength and agility and intelligence. Like, so you're protected, right? This is the Babylon system of the great Tower of Babel, right? Where the tower is like this protective structure that allows you to be some city-dwelling cucklord that has no survival abilities and no intelligence and just obtains pellets by submitting to authority, right? See, that's the Saturn model. But if you look at the Greek myth, like you get a lot of insight into what I'm trying to explain here, which is how Jupiter gains his freedom, right? And he gains his strength and his ability because of Saturn, because of having this repressive authority choking him out or trying to swallow him and all his brothers and sisters be swallowed into Tartarus and hell, right? Like he breaks out because he has that divine spark within himself and he knows of his true potential. And even though he's told and belittled and contained and swallowed up, because the prophecy, just like Jesus, right? Jesus and Jesus, right? Zeus and Jupiter, there's a prophecy that they're going to overthrow the old order, right? So to try and prevent that, Saturn, Kronos, swallows all his children and his offsprings, just like Herod and Jesus, just like the Pharaoh and Moses and so on. It's like over and over again. This is the story. So we're in this time now where this is all coming to pass, right? And the powers that be, so-called, and their BDSM, dominance and submission culture, like they know that there's limits on their thing because it all runs on money, right? It all runs on one eye, right? You set up money as your ultimate arbiter of value and goodness and truth and rewards and punishments, right? You have no morality anymore. You have no intellect anymore. You have no discernment and decision making. Everything's just based on money, right? That's what determines who's powerful and who's admired in the society, right? But their money system is based on fraud and it's based on human sacrifice, right? So we get the word taler, and the original talers and dollars had Jesus on a cross and a snake, right? That's where we get the dollar sign. It's a snake on a cross, originally a TS for talers. That was the original origin of the dollar sign. So it's based on human sacrifice and the cult of the scapegoat. That's why they call them bucks and bacchanals. It's named after this scapegoat who takes all the blame for everyone who's really doing the evil and gets sacrificed as, a switcheroo. So anyway, we're trying to break out of that, and more people are seeing the necessity of breaking out of that, right? So we're moving. So last year was all about the Saturn-Uranus square, because Uranus is another one of these planets of freedom, high-tech freedom, the dispersal of power, right? It's like the opposite of the hierarchy. It's a decentralized power system where the power resides in strong individuals, right? Because they're capable of their own food security. They're capable with their physical strength. They're capable with their intellect. They're capable of controlling themselves, right? They don't have to be controlled because they control themselves. They have inner morality. They have inner ethics. They have common sense about cause and effect. They don't try to oppress each other, right? They keep freedom as their ultimate value for themselves and for others. It's reciprocal freedom, right? So now we're moving into this more Aquarian phase and this Uranian phase, away from the Saturnian phase, right? And we're adopting these expansive virtues of Jupiter. That's what this year is all about. I got my fourth Jupiter return coming up real soon. So this is one of my big focuses. So how do we deal with strength and oppression, right? How do we deal with rules and regulations? Well, we deal with it in an adaptive way by developing power, by developing intelligence, and the responsibility, taking responsibility for ourselves. We're not asking Anthony Fauci what kind of therapeutics we can have if we get a common cold, right? We're not asking anyone for permission. We're not asking pedo Joe Biden for permission for anything. We take responsibility, we develop skill, and we obtain freedom by doing so.